All right, everyone, or whoever decides to join me tonight, I am live. Let me make sure that I can see myself on YouTube because StreamYard broadcasts to YouTube. Yep, I am live. Let me click on that. I have my hard connection and I am live. Okay. First of all, I want to apologize to everyone who was expecting to see a stream last night. My guest um, let me know he couldn't make it, and I didn't find out until right up until the beginning of the stream that he couldn't make it. I was actually sitting here waiting for him to come in the backstage, and I said, "Let me check my phone to make sure there were no updates here." And sure enough, I got an email from LJ, and he said, "I can't do it tonight. Apologies." So I said, "Okay, that's fine," because I feel like, as he says on his channel, time is the most valuable resource. So the time that we would have spent streaming and talking about psychological capitalism and the debt matrix and debt slaves and all those things, and President Biden maybe forgiving student loans. The time we were going to spend doing that, I was able to spend eating and relaxing. And sometimes that's okay. So I guess he'll reach back out to me when he's ready to do it again, for those of you who are looking for that. But tonight we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about, I do this periodically, lessons learned YouTubing, because this has been such an educational experience. And I think for new people, for those of you who watch me, I mean, I'm not a big channel. I'm a little channel. I'm a peon compared to some of the others. But if you get into this thing, it's a journey, and it's a nonstop lesson. It's a nonstop learning process, and I think the term is esoteric knowledge. When you start doing this, because there are things that you learn. There are things that you only learn when you do it. So, hey, Art Newstall, what's going on? Art Newstall, I was thinking, with you being an educator, you interviewed me on your platform. It would be cool to have you come over to my platform, and so I can interview you and hear about your experiences as an educator. And so just keep that in mind. You have me over in your house. The door is open for you to come over, and you can paint while you're here. So I've been thinking about that. But anyway, this is let's have some fun tonight. Let's talk about experiences YouTubing, lessons learned, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I will, once I get done, if you saw the thumbnail, I have a whole bunch of things that I listed out. Afterwards, if some folks want to come up and give some reaction to what I say, I'll do that. If not, then I'll just wrap up and get my long weekend started. So I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. What's going on, Joe? The Average Brother, he says, caught you live again. Need to learn about being a YouTube content creator. Can't afford the lead attorney yet. Oh, does he charge for that? I know that he's done shows. Well, of course he charges for that. I know he's done shows where he's talked about the art of YouTubing and tips. So I'm not charging you anything. I am taking donations, but hopefully there's something that I say tonight that benefits someone. So I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. Okay, Art, I will let you know. I think if Sunday's I know that's when you go live on your platform for your Chalk Talk. So we'll have to work out a date, but I will contact you. So I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. If you're just coming in, please hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76, my original channel. First of all, please like this stream, please share it, and please subscribe. The super chat is live here. If I say something that's really resonating with you and you want to make a donation to the channel, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, by the way. My Cash App and PayPal are here. And also, there's a new feature that YouTube has called a super thanks. I haven't received a super thanks yet. I just enabled it this week on this channel and on my sports channel. But if you're watching this on the playback, and if any of this resonates with you and you feel so inclined to make a donation, feel free to leave me a super thanks. I imagine it's just like the super chat, except people can leave those after the show. And I'm assuming YouTube, or should I say Google, keeps a percentage of that, like they do the super chats. That was speaking of lessons learned, before I started YouTubing, I was watching some of the bigger guys, and that was a big controversy at one point. I know the old man wanted people to Cash App him directly as opposed to super chatting because Google keeps a percentage of the super chats. So in any case, wow, there's a lot going on right now. My condolences go out to those families in Texas who were impacted by this most recent mass shooting. As you know, my hometown of Buffalo, New York, was impacted about 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot going on, a lot that I won't. Yeah, yeah. In some instances, I'm careful about what I talk about nowadays. So I don't know that's pretty nuclear. That one's pretty radioactive. I would just say that a lot of people now are questioning what's happening in society. Laws that were changed, things that are now normal, and what decisions made on the government and the state level, uh, how those decisions from 20 to 30 to 50 years ago are impacting us now. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna run and grab something because I think that it is a good visual of what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second here. That's the official avatar for this channel. I'm reading this book right now, Cooperation and Coercion. This was written by Anthony Davies and James R. Harrigan. They're economists. They have a podcast called Words and Numbers. And I like economists because they talk about things like unintended consequences and geez, what's the other one? Unintended consequences. Uh, there's another term that they use quite a bit. There's unintended consequences, trade-offs. They talk about unintended consequences and trade-offs. And a lot of times when government policies are being thrown at us during election cycles, this is an election year, things are being proposed, things are being suggested, oftentimes to appeal to the emotions of the voter base. But those policies and those ideas, they're never vetted. They're seldom the flip side of what's being introduced and proposed is never talked about, and the long-term ramifications of what they're talking about is never discussed and analyzed in a meaningful way. And if it is, it's kind of quickly swept under the rug. So I'm powering through this book. I'd like to interview Mr. Davies quite at some point. So look out for that. But I just thought about that as I was talking about what's happening now. A lot of people are talking about that in the multiple social media spaces. So tonight I'm going to talk about lessons learned YouTubing. I think I did something like this about a year ago, and I like to do this periodically. If for no one else, then for myself, because this has been a nonstop um, journey of trial and error. There are things that you can read about blogging, you can read about YouTubing, you can read about doing anything, but until you actually get out there and do it, there are some lessons that you're just not going to learn. And there's a ton that you do learn when you get out there and do it and you get in the game. You got to get in the game. Okay. A few quick things. I'm going to talk about this. If you haven't, please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. I want to thank everyone who has joined. This link is below at the bottom. There's a greeting, and then there's the subscription button. I'm getting ready to send the first one out to those gracious individuals who signed up. So that's there. One of the things I'll be talking about in the newsletter is my book project, The Engineers, a Western New York Basketball Story. That is here. That's on my writer's blog, Big Words Authors. And if you yourself are an aspiring writer and you want to get your start, I will, publish your work, whether it's a short story, a piece of poetry, or whatever it is, for a small fee. So that's there, but that's the description of my book project. I'm waiting for a chapter back from my mother, who's a writer herself, so I can give my manuscript one more cleaning. Well, part one of my manuscript, one more cleaning, and then find a editor. Okay. So tonight's topic is lessons learned as a YouTube content creator, May 2022. Okay. Yeah. So, if you're a YouTube content creator yourself, you might dig some of this. If you're thinking about getting in the game yourself, you'll definitely dig some of this. And I'm going to use the thumbnail as a guide for this discussion. And I'm just going to walk through really quickly, bullet by bullet. And I might give an anecdotal story. Is that the right term? An anecdotal story. I might give a story for each one just to kind of highlight what I've learned. So this is kind of like a time capsule. I'm just putting this time capsule in a bottle, saving it for myself. And if you guys have questions or comments to any of this there in the chat, have at it. Have at it. Because I'm sure you've seen or experienced all of what I'm going to talk about. Once again, the Super Chat is live. If you want to Super Chat something, $1, 50 cents, whatever. And my Cash App and PayPal are there. If you're watching on the playback, then you can send me a super thanks. So I'm going to cue this up, this thumbnail, and we'll go from there. Window. There it is. Okay, so let me go back over to StreamYard. Sometimes when you open these applications up and you use your screen share, you can't always see yourself on StreamYard. So fortunately, I can do it here. All right. So I'm going to go through this list here, hopefully pretty quickly. Again, if you guys have reaction there in the chat, go ahead and have at it. But as you notice, before I jump in, you notice the background there. What that is, it's a stage. And I realized YouTubing, when I first started, the first year and a half was just shooting pre-records. So I'd sit in front of the camera and record something and upload it. That's a very, very different thing than going live. Because when you do a pre-record, you're recording what you want to say. It's kind of a quote unquote one-way conversation, as one of my cousins pointed out. and then people can just react to you in the comment section, or by giving you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But when you're live, you're actually, in a way, you're performing for everybody. And it's a different thing because the live viewers can interact with you in real time. So the first one, a major learning point, is advice from the bigger content creators. So those of you who saw my first discussion with Ron Wills, shout out to the Field Master, back in September 2021, you know that one of the other bigger content creators, I would say his name, but I'm not gonna say that. I think he's a good guy and he makes really insightful content. I think some of it would be very sobering for people who aren't used to hearing what he has to say. I'll just say, I'll give one of his nicknames, Cappy. Yeah, Cappy. Cappy encouraged me. He said, "Oh, you got 4 channels. That's too many. You should shut them down and just go to 1. It's too confusing to keep track of." Now, one of my inspirations for doing that, and because it came from Cappy, I said, well, yeah, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should collapse back down to 1. But one of my inspirations for doing that was Ron Wills, because Ron Wills has his channel that talks about man gets woman. He has his deep thought. He has his money matters. He has his, Ron Wills has got 4 or 5 channels. And so when I spoke to Ron told me, if that's your vision, continue to flesh your vision out and don't let anyone tell you not to pursue your vision. So I got this piece of advice from this person over here, and this piece of advice from this person over here, and it was on me to decide what to do. And I opted towards Ram's point of view because that's what was natural inside of me. There was a reason why I split the channels out. So that's advice from the bigger content creators. And I've heard, BGS say things as well about, finding it takes a certain amount of time to find your voice. It takes a certain amount of time to find your audience. It takes a certain amount of time to find your own personal rhythm. Are you in this for the money, or are you in this to get your message out? Well, I know that I came as a writer, so I guess you could say that I'm in this to kind of get my message out. So number 2, and I'll probably lose count of these because I have like 15 of these right here. Advice from others in general. When you start YouTubing, you're going to get advice from people who are in the game, and you're going to get advice from people who are outside of the game, who know absolutely nothing about content creation. And you'll get advice from people who've never shot a video, people who've never sat in front of a camera, people who don't have channels. So you're going to get advice from everybody. People will tell you, I don't think you have the camera sitting in the right place. I think your videos are too long. You took too long to get into the subject matter. You're talking too much. All these different things. You're going to hear all these different things from people who are not in the game and just in general. I don't know who your audience is. Who's your audience? Why are you guys talking about that? So comments and feedback and advice, oftentimes unsolicited, are going to come from all directions. Branding / purpose / message. When you become a content creator, you have to think about your image. You have to think about what your brand is. What are you going to be known for? When people watch your videos, what are they going to see? What are they going to take away from that? Are you presenting something unique, or are you chasing the algorithm? Are you talking about what's popping at that moment? Are you there selling a product? Are you preparing a product to roll out. Um, that's your branding, your purpose, and your message. And you want to make sure those align as closely with you as possible. There's a term in media that if it bleeds, it leads. And you can get a lot of views by talking about what's trending and the Will Smith slap or the image guy dying or these two people beefing or the red table talk or something. You can get a lot of views that way, but does that align with who you are, and can you defend that if you have to defend it to someone? Branding, purpose, message. Camming up versus using avatars. This is a huge one. It's a different thing to show who you are versus sitting behind a picture. And there are ramifications for both. And there are reasons why people cam up. I cam because as a writer, I think it's important for people to see who I am. And then there are reasons why people sit behind an avatar. Maybe you don't want people to know who you are. And when you're sitting behind an avatar, you could pretty much, I think you could pretty much say and do whatever you want. And no one, especially if you're using an alias, and especially if you're using, if you're not using your likeness, there's no ramifications for saying and doing whatever you want. But when you show your face, there's a level of authenticity to it. People know who you are. People know your voice. People know your likeness. But there can be ramifications for saying certain things and creating certain kinds of content. So you have to figure out which one you want to do, and can you live with the consequences. If you're showing your face, can you live with the consequences of whatever it is you're going to say and do? Camming up versus using an avatar. There's a big difference there. Consistency and soldiering through. One of the keys to this is being as consistent as you can. I mean, anyone can make a video once a month, but can you do it consistently? Do you consistently have things to say? Do you consistently have meaningful things to say and meaningful things to talk about? I was going to have LJ on from Savings Minus Debt last night. And LJ has a lot of interesting things to say, a lot of insightful and educational things to say. For some people, those things are very sobering. But one of the most powerful things that I ever heard LJ say was that for the first year, he was talking to himself, quote unquote. What does that mean? That means that when you're on StreamYard, you can see the number of people who are watching you. You can see the number of people who are in your stream and viewing your content live. And it's exciting when you see that number go up and up and up and up and up into the hundreds. That's only happened for me rarely when I've done certain topics. But it's also when you see the number jump up and jump down and you see people leaving, well, you can see that as well. So you have to be consistent. And if you're not getting the views that you want, or if you're not hitting that trending topic, you have to figure out a way to soldier through until your core tribe forms around you. And I was also told that as well when I first started out, that you set out on your path and then your audience will eventually form around you. So even if you're not popping right away, an audience may eventually form around you. Shout out to Quad B. And also I heard Valdez say that on one of his streams. Alonzo, the all-star advisor. Oh, Alonzo, you sent me a text a day or so ago. I'm sorry. I've been multitasking and doing a bunch of different things. I will get to that, I promise. And at some point, that piece about insurance, and also you're welcome to come on whenever you want to come on. Okay, so see, the numbers just jumped up. Everyone, please hit the like button. While people are here, you want to get the like button. Get them to hit the like button. The super chat is live. My Cash App and PayPal are there. the super thanks is live, all those things. So you have to be consistent, and you have to soldier through. And making content regularly is not easy. There are some days you could just sit and relax and stretch out, and some rest is necessary. But there's a huge consistency component to this. Collaboration is huge. I don't think you can grow on your own unless you're a celebrity coming in, or an athlete coming in like Kwame Brown. If you're starting from scratch and nobody knows you, at some point you need to collaborate with, you have to be like one of those small fishes who attaches to the whale. You have to learn to ride with some of the whales, and some of the whales will get you exposure. They'll validate you, they'll knight you, and they'll help you gain some traction. BGS helped me gain a lot of traction, and I did experiment. I'm a scientist. I did experiment with some of the more saucy topics over the last summer. I've taken a step back from those things to a large degree, but collaboration, getting someone to vouch for you and recommend you and speak on your behalf and say, you should go watch this guy's channel. This guy this guy or girl has some good things to say. That's important. So, let's see. Copyright strikes versus claims. This is huge. There's a difference between copyright strikes and copyright claims. I wondered, there's another content creator whose nickname is Panthro. I call him Panthro. He calls me Tigra. I won't say his real name because I don't want YouTube to go and look and say, oh yeah, he's doing that. But I noticed that Panthro, he would start his streams, and the music, he'd be able to play that music and leave that music up, and he wouldn't get penalized for it. Well, and then I noticed early on, I tried to use some music. I think it was some rap tracks. I tried some rap tracks. One time I tried to put a Tribe Called Quest beat in a video. I think my first stream with the Roger Report, I played the Foreign Exchange, and I got copyright strikes against my content. And so I realized, okay, there's some music you can play, and there's some music that you can't play. AV Media says depends on who made the music. That's right. That's right. Depends on when the music was made. It just depends. And also a strike, when you get a strike, they limit the visibility of the video. Maybe people in other countries can't watch it, right? And it's just they hide it to some degree. But a claim is different. A claim is you're going to share, if this is monetized, we're not going to take it down, but you're going to share whatever earnings you make with the creator of that song. So I just learned that in the last couple of months, there's a difference between a copyright strike and a copyright claim. Okay. AV Media says, which is why I do my own sound effects. Okay. I'll have to pay attention to that and see what you're doing. Okay. And I think the same thing is true. The same thing is true for when you show videos. I know that if you watch people's streams, they won't always play a video in their stream because that could get a strike. So sometimes they'll play the audio, but they won't show the actual video because they'll get a strike. So this is very nuanced. This isn't, people who aren't familiar with YouTube, they think this is all fun and games. This is very much, there's a science to this. Okay. This is a big one. Criticism and having thick skin. Okay, this is a huge one. If you're going to be a YouTube content creator, you got to have some thick skin, because people are gonna come for you. You might be well intentioned, You might have created something that you think is worthwhile. You might have put a lot of time and energy into the video production. But again, people are sitting behind computers. They're not showing their faces. And some, as I'll describe at the end of this list, the viewers, some of the viewers will come for you. And this happened to me last weekend. I'm going to show you something from my sports channel. Give me a second here. And it's really trippy when they do this, when people, because some of the things they say, you wonder to yourself, okay, was what I created, was it really that bad? Was it really worth the things this person is saying to me here? Okay. But this did happen. And it continues to happen. But, when this happens, I have to think about some of the bigger content creators. They get it much worse than anything I've gotten. But still, when someone comes for you and says something aggressive and negative, when you attempted to create something in a well-intentioned way, it can shake you a little bit. So Joe the Average Brother asked, how do you know if and when you are being shadow banned? What exactly does that mean? Anyway, AB Media, you can chime in here if you want. From what I know, now Sheed, last week I had Sheed over. He suggested that I was shadow banned. I don't know why. Because I've tried to stay away from nuclear topics. I know that over on my science channel, well, when I get to channels and content being removed, I'll tell you what happened on my science channel. I've talked about it over here before, but what shadow banning is, my understanding is they basically make it hard for your notifications to go out, so people don't always. So they have a way on this platform. They have a way of promoting your content, and if they shadow ban you, it's not promoted as much, or it's even buried. And I think that they have a way of unsubbing you as well. I'm going to get to that as well. But this is, guys, AB, if you know something about shadow banning, please go ahead and answer that in the chat. But this is from my sports channel. This is recent. I just did a live stream last week, I think, or the week before, a Michigan football stream where I read articles. That's all I did, and I talked for about an hour. These are some of the comments. 3 people I don't know left under my video. Some of you guys might laugh at this, and give me your reaction right there in the chat when you read this. Okay. This guy says, I think this one was mild. He says, I think you a good guy, bro, but speed it up and get to the point. Respect. I'm going to get to this later on. Some people can only watch videos for so long, and some people demand that you jump right in and get to what you're going to talk about, and don't spend time talking about anything else. This person right here, let me blow this up. And that was from Venice, 902X91. This one, Bo Little, he left 2 comments. He said, I'm not going to like or subscribe just because you ask. Respect is earned. 10 minutes into your video, you haven't mentioned one thing about Michigan. Awful. So I think for the first 10 minutes of that video, I didn't go back and watch it. I did promote my newsletter. I did promote my book project. And I think for the first couple of minutes, I hadn't streamed over there for a while. So I just spent the first couple of minutes just kind of getting my feet wet, just kind of being gracious with the audience before I started, but some people started right away. And also, um, again, I guess some people are offended if you ask for subscriptions and likes. He also said this, dude, quit talking about your show and get into the content. Okay. So, again, you can make something being very well intentioned, um, and people in viewerland will get offended. I'm going to show you guys one more. Let's see. This was from my same channel. This one was from my Chris Webber video. I shot a video on that channel asking the question, if Chris Webber, I think most of you guys, if you're basketball heads, you know who Chris Webber is, the Fab Five. You'll know who it is when I show you this picture. I asked the question, if Chris Webber had stayed for his junior year, and if he played in that regional game against Arkansas, would Michigan have won that game? And someone left me a really, really nasty comment under that video. And I was like, why? Okay. And YouTube, fair use. This is my own content. Hopefully YouTube, this doesn't get a strike of any kind, but this is my own content from one of my channels. So fair use. I don't think I need to fair use my own content. This is for educational purposes only. Okay. Would Chris Webber have made a difference? Okay. So this comment. Okay, this guy. This guy, I won't say his name. He says, all that I'll say is that I clicked on this expecting thorough and interesting analysis. Very disappointing. It's not so bad looking back at it right now, but when you create something, and someone comes like that, disappointing, terrible, this is awful. Some folks really, really come for you here. So you got to have thick skin. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not going to satisfy everybody. Everybody's not going to like what you create. And hopefully you find that core audience that does. No, not a hedge bot says, entertainment and gossip will always get more views. I appreciate your content and feel the community needs these discussions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And what's funny is you always, by nature of the beast, you always, the negative comments, for whatever reason, seem to stay with you more. The pat on the backs, those feel good. You like those, but it's those few people who say, I hate your content, I don't like you, your delivery, whatever. Those seem to stay with you so much more. Not a hedge bot says, I became a fan from the blue collar video you did. Yep. Much respect to the blue collar workers who kept our country moving while everything else shut down. Let's see. Joe, the average brother, says there's a certain content creator who offers financial advice. Dude has a tendency to go into stream of consciousness rambles like he's trying to be a public intellectual or something. Are you talking about Glendon? I don't know. But this is not a one size fits all approach, and I think that's a key lesson, is that no one's going to be totally happy with what you create. And some people are going to dig it. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to detest it. So you have to come to grips with not being liked by everybody. So different crowds. There are, depending upon what you're talking about, depending upon which sector you're in, you're going to have different crowds. And those crowds are going to behave differently. So Miss Burdine. Miss Burdine has checked in. Hey, Miss Burdine, thank you for stopping through. Not a hedge bot. Miss Burdine, she made some content herself acknowledging our blue collar workers. And I think she might have helped inspire me to make my video because our blue collar tradesmen are just as important as our white collar professionals, our blue collar professionals, because they are professionals. So thank you for stopping through, Miss Burdine. Okay. Different crowds. Well, big discussion, 76 Sports. The sports crowd is much different than this crowd I have over here. This crowd I have over here, it has evolved just like I have evolved. It's an amalgam of people. As I described, the first year was just me playing around, seeing what would work. And then BGS kind of brought me into the manosphere space. And a lot of those people started subscribing to me. And then I'm kind of trying to evolve the channel now to be more of an information hub. Like I said, I want to bring on economists like Anthony Davies. So the crowd might continue to evolve from what it was, but this is a mixture of people. Some of you might know she comes in sometimes, Grandma. We've never met personally, we've met digitally. I know her from Twitter. And there were a group of us who, let's just say, we huddled around RBR. How many of you know RBR? Real Brother Radio. He's still on YouTube. But at that point, he was raging every day on Twitter. And some of us were kind of huddled around him, keeping him company. And that's where I met Grandma. She stops through every now and then. And that was before Real Brother Radio got thrown off of Twitter. He got thrown off of Twitter for the things he says. But so this is a mixture of a crowd. And every crowd is different. This crowd, it donates a little bit. I think that this crowd genuinely, it's engaging. It likes to get to know me. I know some of the people here. I've met Sheed. I've met Charles. It's a different feel over here. The sports crowd is a little more just get to the point. It's a sports crowd. They don't donate as much. So it's a different crowd. And most of the folks who signed up for my newsletter are from this channel. The science channel, I'm kind of piecing that together. Not everybody is into science, and that's one of the things Cappy, as I mentioned at the beginning, that's one of the things Cappy told me, was that basically Cappy said that most people, how should I say this in a politically correct way? Most people are not going to get the science topics you're talking about. Most people aren't smart enough to understand what you're talking about. But I had reasons for starting that channel, and I had reasons for continuing to feed that channel. So crowds are different depending upon what you're talking about, depending upon who you are. There are crowds that are talking about Black relationships. There are crowds talking about sports. There are crowds talking about money. There are crowds talking about anime. There are crowds talking about Star Wars. So this YouTube it's a vast ocean. And the types of crowds you run in and the types of crowds that form around you will be different depending upon what you're talking about. Alonzo says, yeah, RBR is wild. He still, when he makes community posts now, he still tags me sometimes. I don't know why, because he doesn't like me. Well, depending upon the day, he's nice. And then depending upon the day, he's not so nice. So I don't know. But yeah, he's wild. Evergreen content. Me and Sheed talked about that last week. And one of the things that, if you're going to do this, one of the things that you need to decide is if you want to leave your content up. And 2 to 3 years from now, or maybe 6 months from now, if people see your content, what are they going to think? So evergreen, it's not a term that's unique to YouTube. That was a term I learned about when I started writing for the Examiner. But it basically means that it's timeless. And I think that in the context in which she talked about it last week is that you can leave it up. If you notice, there's some content creators, they either, that content is so sensitive and it's so polarizing, they'll put it behind a paywall. They will unlist it once it's done. They will make it private once it's done. And you have to be mindful of what you're creating and whether or not you can leave it up. So especially if you're showing your face and people know who you are. So I'm pretty big now about being able to leave my content up. So I need to make sure, especially on this channel, since the focus is broad, I have to be careful about what I put up here. So some of you may have noticed there's been a bit of a change, and that's why I want to make the focus more academic, a little more PG, a little more nerdy, a little more thought intensive, which is why I want to bring that economist and others like him on. Let's see. Miss Birdine says, I love it. You're honest. Thank you, Miss Birdine. Thank you for that. I appreciate your support. I appreciate all of your support throughout this journey. And Alonzo says, yeah, also thanks for tagging me in your community post. Yeah, Alonzo, again, this is a learning process. You can tag when you create your videos or when you create your community posts, you can tag other content creators so they can get some shine for it. On my blogging platform, I have a lot of financial stuff that my customer supplies me. And there was a part of one of the recent ones that involved working with a competent advisor. So to pump Alonzo, I tagged him. So you're welcome. So evergreen content. Going live versus pre-records. Like I said in the beginning, when you're live, you're basically performing for the audience. And when you're live, people can interact with you. People can comment and interact with you in real time when you're live. When you do pre-records, they can't do that. And I think the lead attorney says that you get credit in terms of the views, you get double credit for going live because, well, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think you get double credit for the views and the viewership when you go live versus doing a pre-record. Okay. Lightning in a bottle. Lightning in a bottle. Shout out to my brother, Amal Dunbar. He passes through every now and then. He's done a lot of the artwork for my channel. Lightning in a bottle basically refers to trending topics and the algorithm. So over on my sports channel, there's a lot of controversy over on my sports channel. Over on my sports channel, I wanted to get someone to buddy up with me and do some Buffalo Bills content. I still haven't gotten that to pop. But me and my brother basically got into a bit of a heated discussion where he was saying, I think you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. I think you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And so afterwards, I thought about it and I said, yes, I was. And there's nothing wrong with that because as a YouTube content creator, in some instances, you do have to think about what's trending. And you do have to think about where the wave is. So if it's a sporting event, if it's a football game, you don't want to give reaction to the game a month later. You want to go on and give reaction to that game shortly after that game finished, right? So you do want to catch that lightning. If it's a trending topic, in this instance, I'll just use the Chris Rock slap, the Will Smith Chris Rock slap as an example. As soon as that happened, everybody was talking about that, and that's one of the reasons why I recorded something on it. But yeah, in some instances, depending upon what's happening, to grow your channel, you want to try to catch lightning in a bottle. But again, you need to think about what your purpose is and if that aligns with your brand. Because again, if it bleeds, it leads, and you don't want to create content on just any old thing just to create it. I've learned that. Losing subscribers. This is a bit of a head scratcher. Some of you might know, does YouTube unsubscribe people, or do people watch something you've created and just get fed up and say, you know what, I'm going to unsubscribe from his channel? It's the strangest thing. Sometimes you look at your subscriber count and it's up, and then it's down, and then it goes back up. So I think there are some people who get frustrated for whatever reason. People have lives. You never know what's going on. But I wonder sometimes if that's YouTube. I wonder sometimes if that's YouTube doing that. Are they purposely taking people out of your subscriber count? Those of you who know, let me know in the chat. Alonzo says, first he says, yes, I'm not sure what this is referring to. Miss Burdine says, thank you for sharing your ideas and observations with us. And he says, Alonzo says, I've been unsubbed from many channels. Okay, so that's something technical that's happening on the platform. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know why the platform does that, but that appears to be something that's happening independent of me and independent of the content creator. So monetization. Okay. So I will start this by saying, shout out to Ron Wills for helping to get my science channel above 1,000 subs, but 1,000 subs does not equal monetization. I learned that. When Ram came here, he immediately went to his channel the next morning and said, hey, go and sub Dr. Dunbar at Big Discussions 76 Science and Technology. He pushed me over 1,000. And I was thinking, all right, I'm going to get a super chat. I'm going to get AdSense over there. And I waited for the notification from Google, and I waited and I waited and I waited. And I said, you know what? Why aren't they giving it to me over here? And then I realized, after doing the research, you need at least 4,000 watch hours and you need the 1,000 subscribers. So 1,000 subscribers does not equal super chats and AdSense. But like Valdez said so many times in his streams, you don't have to wait for that to monetize, because people can donate to you via Cash App or PayPal or Zelle or Venmo, whichever one you choose to use. You don't have to wait for the YouTube side to kick in. And the monetization part is very, that's a very testy part of this as well, because you know, back when I was, you could have learned a lot by watching Tommy. I'll just say Tommy, the king of controversy. I watched him a lot when I first came to YouTube. There were so many people. Tommy asked for donations, and there were so many detractors in his chat who told him, get a real job, stop coming on here begging for money, stop begging, get a real job. Well, YouTube was his full-time gig, so part of what he had to do, a part of his job, was to solicit donations. He was getting money from the AdSense, and he also was getting money from donations. So that's a very, very testy part of this as well. I have a day job right now, so I'm not relying on donations to pay the bills. But I put it out there. If people want to, you can. If you don't, that's fine. And the other thing is, let me say this. No matter what you get, if you're smart with it, it will eventually add up. If you get $1 here, 50 cents here, $5 here, $20 here, it will eventually add up if you consistently get those donations. One of the most impressive things about, and I'm going to mention his name sparingly here. One of the most impressive things about watching the Image Guy's show before he passed away was watching his chat, because his chat was like a Christmas tree. It was just lighting up over and over and over again. Red, blue, green, orange, pink. It was just lighting up minute after minute after minute. It was amazing to watch. I'm almost done here. Removed content / channels. So my science channel at one point got removed because I was talking about something that YouTube did not want me talking about. The first time, and I didn't know they didn't want me talking about it. The first time I was reading something there about cryptocurrency. It was a blog post with an infographic that talked about, I think it involved the amount of energy it takes to make a Bitcoin. And that's all I was talking about. No, I think it was about multiple ways one can get paid from cryptocurrency. That's what that was talking about. It had a pretty infographic. It showed how much energy it takes to make one Bitcoin. It showed how they make it in China. And then midstream, YouTube stopped it. I couldn't copy and paste the link into the chat. I was getting an error message. And then I went to my channel and said, this video has been removed. And then I got an email on my Gmail account saying we took the channel away. And it's like, for what? Because I was reading something about crypto and how you can get paid and how much energy it takes. But there was something in there that YouTube thought was dangerous for me to be sharing on their platform. And then the other time, that was the second time. And then the first time was I clipped off a discussion with she doesn't want to be called a doctor, but Nicole Ali. We were talking about the pharmacodynamics of the immunization. And I just clipped off a little 5-minute piece talking about how the different immunizations work. She'd commented on it. People were watching it. People were liking it. And then I looked at my phone again and it was gone. And YouTube said, sorry, we took this down. We removed it. It goes against the World Health Organization's guidelines. And I was like, how? And I contested it. They wouldn't put it back up. But fortunately, they put my channel back. They put my science and technology channel back. And it's not until you have a channel removed that you realize how much work goes into maintaining a channel, because that's data. You might have all the pre-records, you might have all the files saved, but all the data is lost. All the likes are lost, all the shares are lost, all the comments are lost. Everything is gone. So that's something you need to think about as well if you're going to be a YouTube content creator. Please hit the like button if you guys want to donate to the channel. The super chat is live. My Cash App and PayPal are here if you want to donate something. And also, if you're watching on the playback, you can leave a super thanks. Not a Hedge Bot says, I've seen a few other content creators mention YouTube unsub followers. Yeah, it appears to be a real thing. Miss Berdine says, LOL, one will get that from certain individuals. They'll say, get a real job. Yep, Tommy. Yeah, Tommy got that all the time. Get a real job. Stop begging. But so you have to be mindful of your channel getting removed. You can appeal it, but I've seen several content creators since I've been on here get their channels removed. Some got their channels restored, like I did, but some never got their channels removed. And when you think about starting over from scratch, again, you might have your video files saved, but all that data is lost, and you have to make sure people know that you lost your channel and that you're back. And there's just a whole lot that goes into getting your channel removed. Now, that's just from YouTube looking at what you're doing and saying, you know what, we can't let this stay up. We're taking your channel down. We're taking this video down. But also, the viewers sometimes get channels removed. I've seen that happen. That happened to Tommy quite a few times. It happened to Roger. So the viewers, if the viewers don't like what you're talking about, they will flag it, report you to YouTube, and get you removed. So again, this is not all fun and games. So that's something, as you're making your content, depending upon what it's about, depending upon who it's about, depending upon who you're offending, you need to be mindful of that. People can get your channel removed. And if you're talking about something YouTube doesn't want you talking about, they will remove your channel and your content. AB Media says, this is a real job. YouTube will send you a tax form if you get it big enough. Yep, translation, that's pretty much a real job. Yep, it can be. Okay, 3 more. And then if anyone wants to come up, I'll keep this going for a little bit longer. Sharing to other social media platforms. Where's my social media slide? If you're going to be a YouTube content creator, you want to grow. Some of that involves sharing to the other platforms. Okay. And I haven't mastered the other platforms. I haven't. And there are rules and there are algorithms for every other platform. For every platform, there's an algorithm here. Me and Engineering Cannabis, we talked about that. There's an algorithm here. There's an algorithm on Facebook. There's an algorithm on Twitter. There's an algorithm on Reddit. I believe there's also an algorithm on LinkedIn. I've never tried to share any of my YouTube content on LinkedIn, but I do remember on my blogging platform, my first blogging platform, I did write a piece on cooning. And I tried to share it over on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn wouldn't take it. So there's an algorithm everywhere. But what I'm going to say is everything doesn't go everywhere. And depending upon what you're talking about, not everything is Facebook appropriate. No. Some of the things that are talked about here on YouTube, people on Facebook are not privy to. People they don't know what's being discussed here. And some of the things, when people hear some of the things that are talked about here on YouTube, it's like crashing into their world. It's like crashing into their existence because they don't know that certain conversations are being had. So I learned personally, if you're going to simulcast over to Facebook, you might want to have your own page set up there for whatever it is you're doing, so that those people who want to follow that page, they can hear what you're talking about. But everybody, your mother, your father, your cousins, your friends from high school, everything's not Facebook appropriate. Twitter, maybe. Twitter is a little less personal. But even then, you just got to be careful. You never know who's watching. And if you're showing your face, you don't know if your future employer is looking. You just don't know. So you got to be careful. Everything is not meant to go everywhere. And then finally, I've talked about this already, the subscribers/viewers. The viewers are arguably are what make this interesting. Uh, Hopefully, if you're doing this, you have a core group of people who like what you do and support what you do. But there are also going to be people who don't like what you do, and they don't like what you're talking about, or they might not like how you're talking about it. I I haven't watched Boyce Watkins recently. I watch him when Dr. Claude Anderson is on because I want to hear what Dr. Claude Anderson has to say. And if Boyce is talking about the stock market, financial trends, those kinds of things, I'll tune in. Some of his other stuff, but some of the viewers would really rip Boyce because Boyce would spend the first 10 to 15 minutes just kind of getting warmed up, and then he'd jump into his topic. And people would get frustrated because he wouldn't jump right into his topic. So again, not all viewers are the same. Not all subscribers are the same. Some of them want you to start talking about your topic right away. Some people can't watch for longer than 5 to 10 minutes. Some people get their feelings hurt if you don't get into the topic right away. Some people, like I just showed you guys on my sports channel, get offended if you ask for a subscription or if you ask for a like. Some people get offended. Some people get offended if you ask for donations or make yourself available for donations. People get offended for everything, for any reason today. So be mindful. And I see Roger there in the chat. People, if they don't like what you're talking about, they will come after your channel and try to get your channel taken down. So this is, it's pretty fierce on the YouTube streets. And then finally, trust yourself. Trust yourself. If what you're saying is what you want to say and you think it's worthwhile, then you have to look yourself in the mirror and you have to live with yourself at night. But as I said in the opening, you're going to get advice from people. You're going to get feedback. I got feedback from one of the bigger content creators, Cappy, a couple of months ago. Well, Jesus, it was almost half a year ago now. He said, you don't need all these channels. Collapse them. Go back to one. Ron Will said, nope. If that's your vision, see your vision out to the end. So you have to trust yourself. People are going to say you talk too long. People are going to say you talk too much. People are going to say you need to jump right into the topic. People are going to say, you shouldn't be talking about that. People are going to say a ton of things to you when you have a YouTube channel, but at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. So, and live with your decisions. And course correct if you think that advice is valid. But at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. So, that's all I've got. Those are lessons learned as a YouTube content creator, March 2022. I'll drop the link. I'll let this go a little bit longer if anyone wants to come and say something or if there's something I missed. And Joe, the average brother, says, I have much respect for Dr. Claude Anderson. I have seen him speak in person several times when he came to Los Angeles. Yeah, I was listening to him and Boyce talk 2 nights ago. And one of the things that I think is ailing our country right now, this is just me, is that all of our industries are gone, or the majority of our industries are gone. Now, automation arguably was going to come anyway, but much of our manufacturing got gutted for whatever reason in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, and Dr. Claude Anderson was of the opinion that, well, there's a big reason why those industries got gutted from the inner cities, but our country is suffering the after effects in a major way of those industries being gone right now. So I have a lot of respect for him too. I have to, and I think he talks about some of that in Powernomics. And I just gotten this much through Powernomics, but I need to finish up because I want to see what he has to say about that topic. What's going on? What's going on, AB?
Hey, what's going on, Doc? How you doing?
Good, yourself?
I'm doing fine. Trying to get other ways to promote my channel together.
Okay.
Constructing a website.
Oh, you're constructing a website.
Yep.
Okay. Is it is it a WordPress? Is it something else, or?
Actually, it's GitHub.
Okay.
GitHub pages.
Okay. Is that going to be the official AB Media website?
For now, it's free for now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of have to know what you're doing.
Yep.
It's not as easy as WordPress.
Yeah, if you ask me, I know how to populate a I know how to populate a website, but once you start showing me all the code,
yeah,
the most I can do is copy and paste the code into like for example, putting a subscription button on your blog.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most, or for PayPal, taking their code and dropping it into the proper widget on a blog. I could do that, but don't ask me what the code is saying. Don't ask me how to write it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, do you have any reaction to anything I've said tonight?
Yeah, you do have to network, because that's the only reason I got 200 subscribers. You have to network without question.
Mm-hmm. It's a network, and then depending upon what you're talking about, it helps to hit the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Over on my sports channel, I think my sports channel, because I do a lot of Michigan football over there, I think that got hurt by the pandemic because I was steadily growing it until the pandemic hit, and then it stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of teetering on like 400 and 500, but there was one video where there was a controversy involving one of our quarterbacks. That video took me from 500 up to 900.
Oh wow.
Yep. And I was like, but even then, once I got there, it was still a final push to get it above 1,000. But that one video, people gravitated towards that one video, and they subbed. Fortunately, they subbed too. That took me from 500 all the way up to 900. So,
yeah, I actually did a video on the divestors, and actually got like 10 subscribers from it. I was like, okay. Thing is, I don't want to talk about them all day.
Yeah,
I got other things to do. I don't want to talk about them all day. It just doesn't interest me.
Yeah,
I just said what I wanted to say about them, and kept moving.
Mm-hmm.
I think that video got like almost 900 views.
Mm-hmm.
It was at 800 last time I looked.
And AB, that's another rule of thumb, and that's that the more people who visit your channel, the more likely they are to subscribe and like the video. So if you get something that's really performing, you're probably going to pick up subscribers there. Yeah.
Yeah, I redid my outro and intro just a few minutes ago for my videos and live stream.
Okay. Okay. He says, warning, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Our industrial base was gutted to prevent Black men from developing a financial power base. If done properly, working class Blacks could empower themselves. That's basically what Dr. Claude Anderson said.
Pretty much.
In that discussion with Boyce, and that's that the industries were intentionally removed from the inner cities and not returned. So, yeah. Another thing I noticed, AB, is as a scientist, I noticed the percentages. So I noticed, I think it was either before I got started or shortly after I got started, I was watching the bigger content creators, and I noticed that relative to their total number of views, they always got about 10% likes.
Yep.
I don't know why that is. I don't know if YouTube is doing that. I noticed that was always like the golden ratio. So if you got 20,000 views, they usually got 2,000 likes. If they got 100 views, they got 10 likes.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I don't know why that happens. I don't know if YouTube is regulating that. I don't know if only 10% of your viewers just naturally are gonna oblige you and hit the like button. I don't know why that is. The other thing is any engagement is good, so if it gets a thumbs down, that's reaction. That means you touched somebody, albeit in a way that they didn't necessarily like, but engagement is good. Views are good. Thumbs up are good. Thumbs down are good too. But I don't like the nasty comments, the confrontational comments. I'm intentionally not subbing your channel because you asked for subscribers.
And
yeah,
I don't even tell people when if I stop watching somebody, I just stop watching. I don't even announce it. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's another thing that with Tommy and some of the more other controversial content creators, I know especially with Tommy, one of the things he kept saying was, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch.
Yep.
But then by the nature of things, people are drawn to things that they don't like for whatever reason. They're drawn to things that will offend them. They're drawn to things that will hurt their feelings. They're drawn to those things. It's very, very fascinating.
Yeah, but look at the image guy, as you called him. A lot of chicks are trying to dance on his grave and trying to make fun of him. But I always ask the question: who forced those ladies to call into his show? Nobody put a gun to their head and forced them to get that constructive criticism. They all did that themselves, and they all did it from different ages. Nobody put a gun to their head and forced them to go on that show.
Yeah. Joe, the average brother, says at AB Media 83, discretion is the better part of valor. I would agree with that.
Agreed.
I would agree with that. Especially if people can see it's you. So you just got to be, this is a complex thing, and you just got to be careful.
Yep.
With this thing, in my opinion, you just got to be careful. So.
Yeah.
Do you let's see, AB Media, do you have anything else you want to say?
Not right now. I'm really working on stuff.
Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and wind down. This was just something that was kind of placed on my heart to do. I hope someone got something from this. And that's the other thing I learned, is that people don't always watch your shows live. Depending upon who else is going, depending upon what time of day it is, some people catch you on the playback. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's another little secret. There are videos there are streams that I've done, there are videos that I've done that initially they got a few clicks, and then over the next couple of days it just kind of goes like this.
Yeah. Since I got you up here, what's your take on this monkey flu that's going around?
Oh, the monkeypox.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it. I did read an article from Stat over on my science channel.
Okay.
You might want to check that out. BGS shared it. BGS thought it was quality and shared it on his community tab. So,
yeah, I would ask Nicole too, but I know she's busy.
Yeah, did you email her?
Not personally, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But she's been busy working with those grants and that little girl of hers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I know is that it either originated over in Africa and then when it made its way up to Europe. I don't see. I'm so careful now, AB. I don't want to say. I mean, I read it in that stream. It's in the article, but it's transmitted. It's been transmitted a certain way by a certain group, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
There's something that appears in the sky after a huge thunderstorm, a very colorful thing, and the people in that group, they seem to be transmitting it.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear all that, but okay.
Okay, but it's in the article that I read over my science channel. It's in that article. So, and I'm actually reading it. So.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to get out of here, Doc. I hope you have a good day.
All right.
Good
Thanks for coming up, baby. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out in the chat.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. All right, everyone. I'm going to shut this down. Wow, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, it's a 4-day weekend for me, so I don't have to log on to my job tomorrow. Let's see. Isada just rolled in. Isada, thank you for your support as always. Miss Burdine says, I'm multitasking right now and we'll have to go back over this one later. Okay. Sounds good. Isada says, yeah, that's new. Yeah, Isada, thank you. You become one of my regulars. Thank you for your support as well. In viewership and commenting and subscribing to my newsletter. Joe, the average brother says, message received and acknowledged. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes on this platform, you have to speak in code. You have to speak in code, just like the slaves. The slaves back in the antebellum South, they were able to communicate with each other through song. So sometimes here on YouTube, you have to do that too. So, all right, everyone, let me just show my newsletter one more time, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. That link is in the description box, along with some others. I had some blog posts down there. I was going to read one, but I decided not to. There's a greeting there, and then the subscription button is there at the bottom. You just enter in your email address. It's pretty harmless. And in addition to YouTubing, I do a lot of writing and blogging. And I guess you could say I'm in the business of search engine optimization. So that is there. Please join. And I want to thank everyone who has joined. If you're watching this on the playback and you want to donate something, my Cash App and PayPal. Let me slow down. My Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box. And if you want to send a super thanks, that's a new feature YouTube just introduced. I believe that will be underneath the video on the playback as well. So everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Everyone, hey, please enjoy your holiday weekend. I have another pre-record, a voiceover related to my book project that I have to make one last tweak to. So you'll see that go up probably over this weekend. Please check it out and give it a like and leave a comment. So everyone, please like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe out there this holiday weekend, especially with it being a holiday weekend when people are out in mass, in groups. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your eyes on the exits. I was at the gym earlier, getting a brief workout in, and I was looking at where all the exits were, because right now You don't know who's coming in there and what they're doing. So make sure you know where the exits are. And keep your head on a swivel, especially today. So, everyone, enjoy the rest of your night. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.